But we've got lots more to talk about. Yesterday, there was a bit of action in the OT region. The Ghana Armed Forces broke up a base suspected to be a training ground for a group that they described as troops associated with the Secessionist Homeland Study Foundation, alleged to be preparing a takeover of part of Ghana. The group last year declared a section of the country independent. Now, troops from the 66th Artillery Regiment of the Ghana Armed Forces in a dawn operation rounded up 20 recruits undergoing training at a remote location 10 kilometers north of the Volta region town of Joje, along Ghana's border with Togo. Now, upon interrogation, the arrested persons confessed that they were made to believe they were being enlisted into the Ghana Armed Forces and were charged a fee of 800 Ghana cedis only to be brought to the said location for training. JoyNews editor Fred Smith was embedded in a military deployment which carried out the operation. Here's his report.
They were able to round up 20 of them. We just got one who was finding his way out. So that makes it 21 in all. We are told they were estimated to be between 20 and 25. Between 20 and 25.
So some are actually on the run?
Yes, we can say about 3 or 4 are on the run, but we are still, the operation is not yet over.
How are you able to determine that this young man we found is part of them?
He has confessed. He has confessed as being one of them. Then he has mentioned somebody he joined the group with. So there's a confirmation that he's one of them.
We came and met them sleeping. Okay. Because obviously around that time you will expect that in a training camp, that is the time they sleep.
Which side were they sleeping, if you can point to me?
Okay. So
I can see mat.
A mat, yes.
Okay, so...
And this one is like a canopy for them. They use wood and rubber to cover the top. This is a mosquito net. That is a cover sheets. You see the boots? You can see even bowls, because they sleep here, they eat here.
Okay.
So you can see some of their cooking utensils or the bowls that they used to eat. So this is where we found most of them.
How does such a place qualify as a military training base?
Okay, I'll start with the vegetation. You see how thick the vegetation is. This one, it affords natural cover. When you are here, until somebody enters, the person will not know that there are people here. Here, even without the tent they did, or the canopy they did, you can sleep under it. It gives you shade during the day. Even when it rains, it will be difficult for the rain to touch you because of the natural cover that it provides. At the same time, the vegetation also, it allows you to escape when there is any attack. You know that out of 25, we got 21. So therefore, we believe strongly that they are people who know this place very well. So they were able to escape. This is a new terrain for us, and so they were able to beat us. Now you look at the terrain itself, the ground. You see the ground is not flat. Okay. It's undulating. It can do a lot of things. The ground itself is suitable for training because it is rugged. You can see the valleys. Some places there are valleys, some places there are high grounds. And so even walking around here is enough to make you fit. They're the same way again. You see the river line that you see there? Yes. Yes, when you are escaping through this river line, where we came from, this one takes you straight there. So assuming an attack comes from this direction, you only jump into the valley there, and it leads you straight outside the camp, and you are gone.
Does this give the indication that those behind this training camp are actually skilled in military matters?
Well, as a professional military officer, if I am in charge of such a thing, I believe that I will do some of the things that I've seen. And so even though I can't tell whether they are skilled or not, but this is obviously people who know what they are about. This is about 3 kilometers from Joje. Specifically, the name is Pevedue. Pevedue, that's the name that the villagers around gave us. And it's about 3 kilometers from the Joje town. Yes, but the name is Pevedue.
And we do understand that this is quite close to the Togo border with Togo.
Yes, you can check your mobile phone. All your network has changed to Togo network. We believe that is one of the fear that they use to keep the recruit here. Because if you tell a recruit that where you are, I mean, if the man doesn't know where he is, and you tell him that if you move an inch from here, you'll be entering Togo. And when you enter Togo, you'll be arrested.
All right, so what's your name?
Michael Dakune, sir.
Okay, can you confirm that you are part of this military training that was happening here?
Please come again.
Were you part of the training that was taking place here in this area that we are?
Yes, sir.
You were part of it. What sort of training were you being given?
And straight away, that's where we also will have a word from the West Africa Network for Peace building. We do have Albert Yel Yang. He is the national coordinator for ONEP. Good morning to you, Mr. Yel Yang. Now, if you look at the modus operandi of this group, it presupposes that there had been an already planned action or activity, wouldn't you say?
Group that probably has a plan mapped out, which they are executing. If they fail in one strategy, then they would probably deploy the other option so as to be able to prosecute their agenda. So if you look at the events that have occurred, since they started this campaign vigorously last year, you realize that there have been interventions by the security agencies, because I remember in November there was a similar operation by the Northern Command per se. Then they indicated that some people were picked up, and even look at even the reaction of the security. Some people were picked sometime, about 81 or so of them, But as they do that, you would realize that there is a kind of a deployment of a strategy, which they continue to, they prosecute to in order to achieve their agenda. So it looks like a well mapped out plan that they are implementing.
If you look at the borders or the lines around which we have this disagreement about when the demarcation was done and subsequently the plebiscite historically undertaken for the then Western Togoland to be added to, or the Transvolta Togoland to be added to the new Ghana or the Gold Coast, so to speak, it also speaks volumes about how these disagreements could influence public opinion, have many people who could also have same opinion along the lines from south to north. Should it be related issues that the security apparatus of Ghana should be worried about?
Yes, I think that, first of all, there has been a fault line by the way Africa or West Africa was divided with the partitioning of Africa. And because it was based on the occupation of the colonial masters, but not how communities were organized. So you would realize that, throughout the borders of Ghana, there are relations across the countries. It's only the southern part, we have the sea, that we don't have such a situation. So and because of those relationships, you would only have to be very mindful of the fact that as a state, we are organized this way. How do we make sure that all the citizens within the state, seem to be involved and seem to be, participating in several activities and enjoying whatever might be, coming from the state. So I think that may be the issue. And so along the entire Eastern Corridor, it's starting from the Volta up to north, you realize that there are a lot of incidences that occur. And very often when these things occur, you will see people moving across the borders and supporting in such initiatives, however they may be, because there is that kind of relationship and transcendence of the issues, because it is that if it happens this way across the border, then equally affects us. And so that support naturally is, and therefore the security needs to be very, very mindful and probably working closely with the communities, civil society, traditional groups, so that people should be mindful of the fact that there are laws now governing us, because we are organized into different states, and that they need to be, to respect those laws and make sure that those laws are not infringed upon. People's rights are also not infringed upon, because the destabilization of that corridor. You realize that in the Cherpone conflict, there were similar incidences where people moved across, and some of them were, around the river, because it's the river that they cross, and even the security probably would find it difficult, to move over because of the tip of their raiders and how that may affect international cooperation. So the security needs to be very, very mindful of this, and also have a mapped out plan, just as other groups who probably have own agendas may have mapped out plans, so that sustainably they are able to react to such situations.
Yeah, we've talked to you. We've talked to the one West Africa head. We've talked to Professor or Dr. Ainin, as well as Vladimir Chidanso, and indeed a wide array of experts in the area of security. And they continuously express worry about how we've had conflicts in the Sahel, subsequently Northern Africa. There seemed to be a certain trickling into the sub-region of arms, and we're told that we have estimated, if you look at what the statistics have been from the Small Arms Commission of our country, between 2.5 and 3 million arms, and they keep getting imported, infiltrating our borders. Now, we have these groupings. The objective is different, but could they likely have some linkages with whether religious groupings, Boko Haram, who could also feed into some of these agitations and create further instability?
I think that there is reason to be concerned about the dynamics in the Sahelian and Tente areas. And if you look at the spread of extremism, and you look at violence across those areas, and indeed, there is a certain belt, in Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, and sometimes in Cote d'Ivoire, and if you look at the map, and how the map is expanding, downwards Burkina Faso and to the other areas towards Benin and all that, and of course, Nigeria is an exceptional case, as we know. We need to be concerned about this expansion and the influence of some groups on a group like the secessionists. Very often they would want to find out, explore a vulnerability, and say that, okay, you are being treated this way because you are this. And then the people can buy into it, And if you look at how they have, reading the news, what happened yesterday, how they cleverly recruited these people, for the training. That they are recruiting for the training of the military. Meanwhile, this was not the case. So similar groups, people could be exploited like this. And so there is a worry. If you look at Ghana, the statistics, it's a hub in terms of the production and trade of arms, small arms and light weapons. And I have been very, very concerned as to how even the security is monitoring the movements of such things, along the borders and even in country. Very often you see that the checks that are put in place are not stringent enough so as to determine some arms that are being used. So Ghana is a hub, and you see the statistics, it's not reducing, it's increasing, and that causes, that should make us worry, and there's these groups, they are not the extremists and those criminals, they are not static, they are very, very active, and exploring every opportunity. And if they know that Ghana has a group that is interested in doing so, they have an issue which they are prosecuting, then it's very easy to recruit, them. And before we realize, it becomes a different situation altogether. And that is why somehow I have been worried that we have not been able to make this thing in the bag. And again, I always ask, how many times have we strictly engaged these groups, this group that is involved in the secession, and have discussions with them to understand the issues? It might be that these are just, it's just one group, but it might be that there are similar, groupings that probably have not acted, openly for us to determine that this is what is happening. But such groups could be there. So how do we engage communities so that we can identify such groups that probably are indicating that they are disgruntled, they have been not being considered in certain aspects, and then to be able to respond concretely to such issues so that we don't have those clinkers coming out, across. So it's a cause for worry, and we need to increase our border control, with the other countries, Cote d'Ivoire, Togo, and Burkina Faso, so that, and I know already there is a plan by the counter-terrorism unit or whatever, within the government that is having collaboration with other states,
All right.
So that should be improved, and that communities should be involved in the monitoring. Civil society should have that collaboration also with the state so that we can respond to these things. Otherwise, the expansion of extremism and the movement of arms, across states, and communities can be worrying.
Okay. My last question, as I let you go, the way the government has been handling these so far, is it the best?
Like I indicated, we need to have a comprehensive approach to this. There could be other things that are happening that are led by the state, and I think that we need to have increase this diplomacy, preventive diplomacy engagement that can enable us to appreciate the issues and then map out strategies to disband, to respond somehow to these. We may not be able to, let me say, hamper them, but probably to let them know these are the implications. And then if you have concerns, we will gradually address these concerns. That is one of the aspects. But, sometimes the military approach can be helpful, but it depends on how we also carry it out. Otherwise, like I indicated, we could have fallout. That may rather also be dangerous for us. So there has to be a sustained plan, a plan that is comprehensive and involving several stakeholders who probably have the wherewithal and influence on some of the people that are involved, and then increase the control, border controls, and to be able to determine people moving in and moving out of the country, and especially that we have issues along those borders.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Yel-Yang. Albert Yel-Yang is with WANEP, and he is the Ghana National Coordinator for the West African Network for Peace Building, and giving us his views on the subjects of the secessionists who apparently at a camping site or were at a camping site near Georgia in the Volta region, and subsequently nabbed by a special covert operation, and Fred Smith was there. He brought us a report as well. We'll have to take a break. When we come back, we'll bring you the latest from the Omanya Hall, the Labadi Beach Hotel, is where we're having the Stanbic Bank Graphic Business Breakfast Meeting for the first quarter of 2020. So stay with us.